Welcome to our panel about, it used to be account abstraction plus UX, but obviously now it's just UX panel, so welcome everyone. I'm Nick from Cointelegraph, the biggest and the oldest media outlet about Web3. Happy to be here. We have an amazing speakers lineup, so let's start with a round of introductions and share some thoughts and how do you contribute to improvement of Web3 UX with your projects. Would you like to be first? You can.
Okay, go with yours? Okay, perfect. I'm Antonio. I'm a co-founder and CTO at Fluidkey. Fluidkey sits as a wallet that provides privacy by default on public blockchains, EVM blockchains. And if I say like how we contribute, basically it's a way to bring privacy whenever you want to do a transaction without revealing your past history or whatever you did, without shielding funds or going into a specific protocol, but staying compatible with whatever is out on chain.
Thank you, Antonio. I'm Moexmop. I'm the creative director of Smilee, as they said before. What is Smilee? Actually, Smilee is a decentralized hyper-leveraged trading platform in which people can actually buy and sell a new primitive, which is called impermanent gain, which allows you to bet on the volatility of some specific token we have. And options are kind of a complex product that you have to sell to people, especially retailers, and it's pretty hard. We know that options struggled a lot in this market, but we have kind of invented a way to make them easier because like all the strike, premium, like expiry that you have to choose in other like options protocol, in Smilee they are all pre-built by the algorithm, and we did an interface which is similar to Tinder. So you actually swipe left to skip the option, and you swipe right to buy one. So, I mean, we try to do that in order to simplify the life of the user and to have some fun, actually, while trading.
How did you come up with this idea? Is it personal experience?
Yeah, obviously it was. I was tired of swiping left and right people, and I started swiping left and right options.
You were there for product research, I guess. Awesome. I'm Aarushi. I lead marketing for Brahma console, and we are a universal multi-chain account. So basically, you do anything on chain, you do it better with us. You have like a single safe address across multiple chains. You can track all your transaction histories, all your asset movements, everything in a unified dashboard. You've multiple native automations, you've in-app bridging, swaps, and all of that good stuff. But yeah, that's console for you.
Thanks. Good. I'm Yosui from Mycel. I'm co-founder of Mycel. Mycel is an account transfer protocol, which is exchanging private keys to exchange assets. Our users can create transfer account on Mycel network and deposit their assets and exchange the private key each other and swap on any token or any chain. We are kind of also account abstraction and also chain abstraction infrastructure for cross-chain experience.
Cool. So all of you have quite complicated offerings in your companies, and all of you have to deal with the improving UX in order to have people to use it. And Matteo, we had a great conversation just like 5 minutes ago before the panel. Account abstraction is going to be a big chunk of this conversation because it's like really important. But let's start with the question, what comes before it? If you want to address it once again, because you share some cool thoughts.
Yeah. So, account abstraction, as you said, is really important, but I think it's just one of the things that are really needed to improve the UX in Web3, because account abstraction lies also on the perspective of the users who comes from actually the years of the internet in which you have to log in and you have a password. So it's like also relying a lot on user habits, you know. So it's kind of like a commodity right now. It has to become a commodity to onboard new people into your project. The thing is, there's a lot before account abstraction. I saw it with Smilee. So with Smilee we tried, and here you can find some designer in the stage here that did the protocol together with me. And the thing is, we tried actually to do a simple UX, a simple user interface. But the first thing that you have to do is try to onboard the community. And as a designer, you don't have to think about your product, about a box that is stuck there, and you have to think about just the product. You have to think about the whole experience. So how they get in touch with you, how do they behave in your cult or in your Discord group. And so you have to manage first this complexity. Otherwise, you will fail in reaching new users. And the most important thing is that while doing that, you have to take into account which kind of users you want to get. Because, for example, we are live on Arbitrum, and you have one kind of user, which is like the GigaChat trader. But then on Berachain, we are going to Berachain, and it's completely different. So you have to deal with people who want to have fun, who want more to be involved in a community. And that's why, for example, we built an NFT collection, which seems completely unrelated to the project, which is about generating also meals bears, which the acronym is gay bears. We did these bears, and people started to become crazy about Smilee. We were like, okay, I got in touch with Smilee first with an NFT, which doesn't make any sense for an option protocol, but then they started using the protocol because they're really enjoying the cult, the word, the language that you're using. And I think this is fundamental. Before the account abstraction, you have to think about all this complexity first, in my opinion.
Aarushi, do you have anything to, because now we were speaking about this stage which is kind of before user starts using your product. I'm curious, how did you guys handle this stage of improvement of the user experience?
I think I could give like a slightly technical angle to it, but EOAs were never meant to be programmable. The moment, I think SAFE and the ERC 4337 standard kind of like set in tone a lot of account abstraction use cases. And console is actually the best example for me to give you right now. So before this, think of like you wanting to manage a position on Aave. You're swapping your assets, you're supplying, you're borrowing, it's multiple clicks, you're going back and forth signing, and it's a lot to go through. With console, what we're doing is you're unifying all of these transactions in one single action. It's all batching it up, simulating it also, if the transaction is actually meant to go through or not, and then you sign it. So that's multiple steps for you. That's just batched into one single click. And it's super simple because users at the end of the day are not really, they don't want the complexity, they want the path of least resistance. And that's what we want to build for. So yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's EOAs, but on steroids, if I may say. But yeah, with a lot more security and automation features to it.
You can.
Okay. Okay. We share the mic. So now, connecting now with what also you were saying, it's more like a problem that also abstracts from the Web3 space. Now, the idea that if I want to have a product being used by a user, that user is now used to get a bite of what I'm doing in the first few seconds. And if I cannot prove that to him, there's a high chance that he's going to leave. And that's a problem, again, not for any app, even in Web2 space, no, even in the physical world. And now you need to create curiosity in your new users if you want to attract them. The tool that Web3 provides to simplify this aspect is the account abstraction. No? So this is why it's very tied to user experience in this sense. The idea of being able to, with one transaction, do multiple things, shrink this into, okay, the user can, with one action, one click, try multiple things or multiple steps in my product. This is all possible with EOAs, but the user will need to have more logic, more thoughts around that. And this is where I think the two, in Web3 especially, are very tied together, the two concepts.
Yeah, almost same opinion with yours. I think the account abstraction brought the programmable accountability for the Web3 users. I mean, if developers can build a lot of function with account abstraction for users. Like, for example, the user have Ethereum on Ethereum, but they want to swap his USDC on Arbitrum, but they don't have Arbitrum gas fee. In this case, if account abstraction wallet provide paying gas fees with any tokens, its wallet provide in this case the users can swap his assets without gas fees on its chain. That's why the account abstraction brought the very convenient experience for DApp users, and it allows developers to build to support the merge type of demand of the users. Yeah.
Cool. It's good that you mentioned developers. I was gonna drive into the topic of like influence of user experience on developer experience, because we all know those cases when like product manager comes to CTO and says, okay, we need to put this huge chunk of technology in just 2 buttons, and then the dev team is freaking out. We all know that. But before that, I want to ask the audience, can you please raise your hand if you know, if you actually know what's account abstraction? All right, guys, can you please, in your own words, before we move forward into the conversation about account abstraction and maybe chain abstraction, I know, in your own words, explain what is account abstraction like M5? It's a new format on Twitter, actually. Like, explain it. Explain what's arbitral like M5.
It's automation without compromising on security. That's the definition. If I want to explain you more, like is being able to do more actions without requiring you more interactions. Okay, so you do one interaction, and that interaction is programmed to do more actions on chain. How it's obtained, it's through smart contracts, but that's a more technical topic.
So I will explain it like if I have in front of me like a 5-year-old child, and I can say that account abstraction is that you want to play football and you want to score a goal. So account abstraction lets you score a goal without dealing with the defenders, without dealing with the goalkeeper, and you just kick the ball and it goes in. So for me, account abstraction is something like that. So something that removes barriers and removes frictions towards your objective. I mean, the objective for the user has to be really clear. Otherwise, why they have to use your platform?
Awesome. That's the perfect ETHMilan, I guess. But essentially, it's making smart contracts smarter. And it's adding a layer of programmability, customization to whatever you do on chain. And there are many aspects to it, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I hope that answers.
Yeah.
Like they said. That's
yeah,
it.
same, yeah. Yeah. If when we entered what was your first wallet in Web3? MetaMask or yeah? If we create MetaMask, we have to save the seed phrase 12 words or 24 words in your local And but with account abstraction, we can create wallet with just your fingerprint on your smartphone. It's become more simple to enter the Web3 world. Yeah, that's.
It's funny how we went from like explanation, like a football explanation, to like a more of a technical terms. Like in front of you, it was 5-year-old, and 18-year-old, and 40-year-old, right? Okay, cool. Do you guys know what's account abstraction now? Is everything clear now? Okay, cool. All right, now, of course, please. Do you have a mic? Do you need a mic?
So I have a question. Theoretically speaking, if you use account abstraction, and I want to like follow up what you've been saying, Yosui, your name, sorry? Yossi, yeah, I want to follow up on what you've been saying about account abstraction. So if you have a swap functionality in your app, and theoretically you can set it up this way that the gas fees would be paid, for example, from another network or with another fee. So that's what you can do. I just wanted to follow up on what you've been saying. Is that what you mean? That like theoretically speaking, you can pay gas fees with tokens or coins from other networks, or yeah, if you can like set this up with account abstraction.
Yes, and as I said, in the current Web3 world is a million overlaps. There are a lot of networks, but we don't memorize the where the space of our assets. We use the 10 chains, but I don't know where's my assets.
Yes,
in
yes,
there.
yes.
In that case, the wallet providers that pay gas fees instead of users in some of blockchains.
Yeah, so basically you can set up some algorithm that will take other like coins that you have on another networks, for example, and will pay gas fee for this transaction on this network without you like taking care of it, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. And that's it.
Thanks for the question.
Well, it was definitely more complicated than football. All right. All right, cool. So now the question is, now we all know what's account abstraction. So basically, account abstraction abstracts all the hassle from the user, so the user gets the final result. So the question to all of you, what do you guys abstract in your companies? What does the user get, and what do you abstract from the user?
So to explain it, like just a very quick explanation of what we do and how it works. As I mentioned before, Fluidkey is a wallet. When you subscribe, you get an ENS. Okay, so like a username you get. Every time resolves to a new address. Okay, so this means that you don't have one address under. You have an infinite amount of addresses. And all these addresses are smart accounts. They are all smart accounts. So in the end, this is how we provide privacy, because if I share my username with you and then with the other person, they both end up with a different address that cannot be connected together. And this means that I have privacy, meaning that I'm segregating funds to obtain the privacy. Now, where account abstraction comes in, if as a user, I want to see all my balance. I don't want to see all the balances breaking down into wallets. It's going to be chaos, pure chaos. So if you open a Fluidkey, you'll see, okay, you have $1,000. But those $1,000 are on a lot of addresses. So if I want to move money out, I say, okay, I want to move $30 to that person. Okay. When I pick those $30, the algorithm figures out which is the most privacy-preserving path. So if you have $30 of one of these addresses, or we have to combine two or more, and in one transaction, does the combination if it's necessary and sends the money to that person. Okay, all these combined funds and send with one transaction is exactly one-click operation we were saying before, where multiple actions are implemented into one, and that's possible only with account abstraction. Without, it would be impossible for us.
That's difficult, because after 2 years, I still struggle to understand my protocol. The thing is, what we are abstracting is a lot of stuff because the end user see a card which show like a chart with the token price, and then you have like these three magical keywords which are expiry, strike, and leverage, and that's it. But on the other side, where do these options come from? Because these options come from like how do we do that? So there is like a liquidity provisioning side in which the depositors actually put their money into these vaults, and from these vaults we actually construct from the impermanent loss of these vaults, we actually build a portfolio of options out of that impermanent loss, which is so options have different strikes, you know? Like you instead combine all these infinite amount of options together, and you have like one single strike, and all the options that are linear actually, because you hit a strike and then you go up, all together they become a curve. So it's exponential. So impermanent gain is something like that. So I mean, it's super complex, and also it's funny because you can buy and sell anytime. Instead, when you have to like selling options in real life, you have to find the buyer, you know? Like, so instead here the buyer is the EMM. So we are really struggling with complexity in order to manage all these implications, also in terms of, you know, how to showcase the P&L. Also, this is really important, how to showcase the P&L, net fee, or with the fees inside, or how to manage the fact that the user has to come back to the app every time to check if it's positive or negative, because there are no notification system at the moment. So it's really difficult, for example, for a DApp to implement a notification system. That's funny because people want to maybe stop their loss or do a limit orders so that they want to buy specific lots and that's it. So we cannot do that at the moment, or we have to deal with a lot of complexity that it's really difficult for us. So the thing is, managing this complexity, I think, is one of the greatest strengths that we have found in Smilee, because if you actually open a UI of like an option protocol, like Lyra, for example, and open our UI, you will see that they are completely different. Some people were acting really bad. You know, like, oh, maybe it's too much, it's stupid as a UI. I cannot understand the technical stuff. But the thing is, these are like 2 or 3 power users that can use also bots, or can use also pick up the API and extract the data. So I think that instead you have to be straight to the point and say, I want these users, not all these people that are whining because they want to be GigaChad. Because also, and I will give this last bit of this conversation, I think is that some people want to be clever, but maybe they are not. So they want to feel smart in using an app. And that's incredible, because Hyperliquid, for example, is a perp. You know, it's normal perp, but has a UI which is super complex, which is super detailed, and lets you feel as a GigaChad. So as like a huge trader, a really cool trader that can make huge transactions and huge profits. You know, so there is also this kind of, you know, aspect that we have to take into account while designing an app, not just simplifying stuff, but also maybe creating another complication to force some users to let them feel more smart than before.
I see. Let's just do like a quick Maslow's rundown. Let's do basic needs of Web3, okay? The most you care about would be, oh, not getting drugged. Okay. Basic need. Then you care about how much you pay on chain, the fees, the rates, everything. Then let's say you care about convenience, usability, accessibility, and obviously you care about rewards and incentives. So we'll get to that in a bit. But point being, if you want a truly multi-chain experience, do you really care about what the underlying infra is? You want the best rates. You want to do it as soon as possible, get out of there, make your gains, and, you know, just touch some grass, I guess. But point being, we abstract a couple of things. chain abstraction, yes, because you have a one-click deploy for, let's say you have an Arbitrum address on console, one-click deploy to have the same address on base, on mode, on blast, on scroll, on mainnet. We're abstracting everything. You are not changing RPCs, nothing. You're just signing a transaction, getting done with it. At the same time, you're pre-funding your gas beforehand. So essentially, it's a gasless experience every time you transact on console. And multiple things, actually, automations as well. Multiple things with Aave, with Morpho. You just have like a one-click strategy that you can set and forget. But yeah, multiple things, I guess.
It's kind of a chicken and egg problem, like you said. We have account abstraction to like abstract the hassle of like the end user doesn't need to mind a lot about the infra stuff and complicated stuff. But from the other side, what you're saying, we still need to mind the underlying infra.
Yeah, yeah. But you don't essentially have to see it. You just have to trust it. And know
how
that
can you trust it?
because it's all logic at the end of the day. And you're automating a lot. So for example, I'll say if you have to bridge from say base to Arbitrum, we have multiple routes, multiple like dexes, and we'll pull out the best, like without like the minimal slippage, the best rates, and that's just algorithm at the end of the day. You're like feeding it into the smart contract to pick it up for you. So yeah, you're not manually, spending your time doing all the checks and everything. Yeah, it's super simplified.
Yeah, I think that's the important part of a user experience is that you are trusted, because if you are not trusted, the end user still has to care about like underlying infra and like what's going on the back end, because otherwise it's not going to be a good UX.
But at the same time, they don't really have to care about the nitty-gritty of it, you know? It's for like the DeFi power user who's super comfortable on chain, and it's for widespread teams as well. So, yeah.
Your question is how do you abstracting?
Yeah, we've been speaking for too long.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say it's so simple. We abstracted the owner of account. Actually, it means when we build a smart contract and think cross-chain swap, that we have to wait confirmation of the chains. If we swap some tokens on Ethereum mainnet, we have to wait 12 seconds. If we transfer the Bitcoin on Bitcoin, then we have to wait about 10 minutes or more per blocks.
Bless you.
Yeah. So, yeah. In my approach, our question is how to swap any token on any chain instantly. That it's the very simple question, but a very important problem in decentralized ecosystem. If someone in Mycel network, someone create a transfer account on Mycel and deposit his assets, his or her asset for its account, and wait 60 minutes, he or she got the Bitcoin, which is confirmed on Bitcoin network. And then if he or she transfer his owner of account for counterparty, he or she assets transferred instantly. We're gonna make its private owner of account abstraction. Yeah, it's sometimes how to make a secure environment in our network. That's it. We are using the MPC account and sometimes TEE in our network, and we make it, and we bring the secure and decentralized cross-chain swap with very high speed and in any token or any chain. Yeah.
I want to ask you about the developer experience because I mean, it's obvious that without developer experience, there is no user experience. If we wouldn't have had builders, we wouldn't have had the applications. So we spoke about the user experience and like the challenges that users are facing. What challenges are faced by developers? Because for us, it's easy to click the buttons or swipe the cards. Like it's like, haha, very fun. But for developers, it's a bunch of work. And my question is, how are developers doing at all?
Oh, it's so simple. We just provide the API for developers, and they integrate the dApps to support the bunch of network, even the non-EVM chains. It's yeah, we're building the understandable interface for developers. Just it. And if the developers want to build a more convenient DeFi, like Binance, we can swap a bunch of tokens on Binance, but in Uniswap, we just swap the same chain assets. If developers want to build a more convenient DeFi and the dApps, it's easy to integrate. We can provide the incentive for developers.
I actually do have like something to add to this. We're about to launch the console API for developers, and the one thing that we've noticed is that devs spend a lot of time setting up the infra, when in fact they need to care about the application logic more. So what the console API will enable them to do is to offload all the multi-chain ops on us, and they solely focus on building dApps. And it can be any kind of dApps, automations, anything. So yeah, too much time spent on like figuring out the infra. Yeah.
Matteo, I got a question to you since you are creative director. So you get to deal with designers, but you also get to deal with developers. So I don't need a technical answer for you at all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Also because there is a developer here who can judge everything I can say, by the way. Ciao, Francesco.
Come on the stage. So tell us about your experience interacting with developers and like how are the developers doing from your perspective? Okay,
cool. I think that, so there is like a common motto that with the design method approach was like everyone can be a designer. I don't really agree with that, but I think that engineering and design come from the same house, let's say, like from the same mindset in the end. And I think that we have just a struggle between developers and designers because developers are building the whole architecture, the whole underground part of an app, and they want it to be seen by the people. So I add a feature, and this feature has to be seen. This app is really complex because it has a lot of work into it. So I want people to see all the data, all the things, to showcase like the Greeks, or for example in options, to showcase all these important data for them, which are part of a huge work they're doing. But for designers, instead, we are trying to simplify everything. So we are trying to scrapping out, all this useless information for us. So I think that the only struggle between developers and designers is this one. Because otherwise, especially in Smilee, we found a common ground in which to work together, and it works very well. Also because right now we switched to a way of work in which we have already like the fundamentals in-house, so the app is already built, and right now like the designers are on stage trying to change and shape the code that is already there according to our experience. So the thing is, once you have already a product live, then I think that designers took an important role in shaping, because at first, for example, in Smilee, we had the experience in which like the product was driven by the technology first. And we had, you know, like to struggle behind doing some fixes here and there in the UI, changing a lot of stuff. But then we took the stage. So I think that this is kind of common in Web3. And I think, yeah, that's two different approaches. And in some chain works in a cool way, like in Chain right now, it works in a really good way, doing like that. In Arbitrum, for example, I could be not a creative director because it's too much difficult for me to give some information to users, to explain something really technical. And so I think that here, especially in this blockchain, in Arbitrum, engineers have to take the stage in order to explain things. You know, it depends also according to the context, I think.
I feel like I need to give my mic to your developer so you have the little fight. Debate is gonna be fun. So, yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, less on the UX side, be more tech on that. But it's easy now with account abstraction, but in general, to get things more complex when it comes to developer, especially what you were mentioning is then, you know, you start with something and then you figured out that your user also want that feature, so you add that feature, and soon you get a spaghetti code, how it's called, no? So like, so the rule we try to keep as like a North Star is give names to everything. Everything should have a name, so it's easy to refer to things and this helps to keep things simple. If you have like infinite amount of words and if you don't, it's not enough those of your language, choose another language and give them. And that's the first thing. And the second thing, keep flow simple. That helps a lot. You know, everything you can do can be write down into a diagram, even in the UX, I think. No, when you can say, okay, if I click here, then I move there, and that's it. So that flow, like in UX, we want to keep it simple. Same, also more in the tech part of development should be kept simple, as that improves a lot. Also, sharing what you've done with a colleague or whatever to get support if something breaks down, and it happens often.
Cool. So I will have the last question before we move to the question from the audience. I want to speak about the future of UX, and if you can give me some other example, because we all know that the account abstraction is a future, blah blah blah. We spoke about it for like 40 minutes. Any other technologies or trends that you believe will positively benefit development of user experience in the future?
If I have to point out one, it's chain abstraction for sure. Like the idea that I have an asset regardless of where the asset is. So I have USDC, okay, great. But I don't care if I have on chain A or chain B, okay? Then, of course, I see a future where there will be like one main chain for myself where I store most of the value. But then if I want to do an operation with assets shared between 2 or 3 chains, it won't be even seen by myself. It will be automatically handled by the automation, the account abstraction, and all the features the protocol are sending out.
Yeah, I would say also chain abstraction is, I think, the most important thing that we have to do right now. I just want to add one thing in order to not repeat the same thing that you said. The thing that, in my opinion, especially for the trading side of the story, so all the protocols that are focused more on trading, the most important thing is, to me, looking at what we are doing on Chain, is like focusing a lot on socials. So like even inside the dApp, trying to be as much as social as possible. So leaderboards, you know, track the data, so help people understand, copy trade people. Because I think that like all of us together, we sit on a screen like 10 hours per day, 12 hours per day. Maybe we are digital nomad, maybe we work remotely, and we are actually alone. By our computer, that's our computer and does, and no more people together with us. That's why, for example, conferences are so important, because we can meet face by face, we can talk. And I think that we need something like that also during the trading side, during the experience that we have on the chain. So this is really important to me, and I think it's one of the aspects that we will delve most with Smilee too.
I totally mirror that. Chain abstraction, yes. But at the same time, anything that's simplifying the overall UX, even if it's, for that matter, passkeys, social logins, anything that can just like speed track the entire experience for you is up next, I feel. Yep.
Yeah, I think chain abstraction, yes, but especially in stateless. I mean, the before 2024, especially blob update, Denken update, the people talked about how to optimize, how to use on block space with best case, but that topic was ended in Denken update. So in chain abstraction, sometimes people think how to use optimize the AMM curve or something, but stateless like a privacy solution like ZKP and FHE or off-chain stuff is effective for on-chain. I mean handle the data with off-chain technology and settle it for on-chain state. Yeah, I think the chain abstraction is not only on-chain topic. So I think we have to watch the more off-chain technology like ZKP and almost cryptographic technologies. Yeah.
Cool. One more question, yeah. Matteo. Why me? So we spoke about, let's say, like pre-account abstraction stage, where we kind of have to work on the user experience in terms of onboarding the users, like before they actually start using your product. Then we spoke about account abstraction, which is like we're simplifying life of the user that actually uses our product. And you mentioned interesting point, which is kind of a post account abstraction, which is like socialization, right? And you mentioned a great use case of bear chain. I mean, Ooga Booga. I'm bearish. I'm bullish. Sorry, I'm bullish on. Well, bearish chain is bearish. That's why I said bearish, but I'm bullish. You got me. Are there, like, from a creative director perspective, are there any other cool use cases of like socialization besides like a leaderboards and stuff?
Sure. I think that like in this panel we spoke about a lot of things, but we spoke really few about, as before, the language. I think that language ties people together, the words. I think that this is one of the most underrated stuff in UX, for example. The wording, how do you use the words, how do you create a cult, how do you strengthen the relationship between people with words. Ooga Booga, I mean, it's a super simple words. Everyone can speak, everyone can understand, and means we are together. So, like, creating a cult, I think it's one of the most important things we have to do as designer and to think about, especially if you are dealing with retailers. Obviously, if you have to deal with an institutional, with Intesa Sanpaolo, for example, or a bank, it's difficult, to go and there say Ooga Booga. But if you go to the people, and these people want to have fun because maybe they're alone on their computer, as I said before, they want to feel part of a community, you have to engage them with words. So that's why I think that all these channels like Twitter, Discord are fundamental for a designer. And designers have to learn how to use them and to manage this complexity too. The thing that this is an important part of the story, and when we are talking about trust, a lot of people don't trust like a software, like an app, because they look at the smart contract and they do something like a personal audit. You know, like they just believe to people who didn't audit before that are like professional, but most of the people saw the number on Twitter. Okay, they are followed by 30K people, or they have like this collection with 35 ETH of total volume, so they are legit. So we have to learn. Obviously, this is just part of the story because then there are some scandals, you know, like a lot of scams or whatever. But we have to deal with the fact that people trust you because of your words, not because of your technology at first.
Interesting point. Audience, do you have any questions to our panelists, please? We need the mic. I'll give mic.
Thank you. I have a question about this Fluidkey, and you said about that many wallets are involved, but there is no link between them. Yes.
Can you say it again? Sorry.
You said that about your service. You said that many wallets can involve, but there is no link between them.
Yeah.
Then what's about traceability and how you prevent that it doesn't use for illicit activity, and how you are handling, you know, requests from regulatory audit purpose? Just interesting.
Great question. The question was like, okay, we provide a lot of different wallets under the hood addresses, and like, how do we prevent that from be using in an illicit way? Yeah. So how we work, we used to say that we play with the rules of blockchain. So everything is still visible on chain, and we don't break traceability. So that's what, for example, Tornado Cash does. They break traceability. You can still trace funds back. Okay. The point is that if I pay you and you share this new address, I have no idea if you have 1 million or $1 in your other wallets. That's where the privacy comes in. That's a slightly different angle than what you usually take in the privacy. But in terms of regulatory point of view, we also went through like a few like also law firms to get when you touch money in this sense, and they were all happy in like writing the report saying that there's like close to no risk because we are not literally breaking any traceability of the funds.
Then your customer can demonstrate their source of the fund.
Yeah, of course.
If they wanna...
No, to use us, no, because think of us like you have MetaMask, okay, and you with your seed phrase, and you create a lot of wallets, and every time you send a new one, that's something that with MetaMask you can do with any wallet, and there's no like no, you don't need to require any source of funds. That comes when you maybe want to off-ramp, okay, and off-ramp is a service we'll add, and for off-ramp, and that's KYC. You need to KYC if you want to off-ramp in traditional finance. So we change the place we are.
Airdrop. Too many people on the phone, so.
There's a question down there, yeah? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I see.
Hello, my name's Caelan. Thanks for the talk. I missed the first half, so I'm sorry if you already discussed this, but I wanted to ask about like Web3 UX. Obviously, like it's a pretty large beast, and I have heard from going to other conferences that there's like two camps really. There might be more, but one is on replicating the experience we already are familiar with on Web 2, which like tends to be a bit extractive and brain rotting, to put it that way. And then the other is like kind of utilizing the, I suppose the fractured nature of Web3 as an advantage, you know, that like maybe this is our chance to develop a totally new user experience that, you know, has yet to be figured out, and like there's obviously kinks in it. But yeah, I'm just interested in all of your opinion on that. Not exactly a question, just like a prompt, I guess. Yeah,
I think around the new user experience, like you can unleash, and One of my co-founder is from France, but he lived a lot in Africa countries, and he was able to see here how the benefit of being able to save in stable coins is like impossible to do with other services. Because when you have like your currency that has 100% inflation rate year over year, and you can like buy that and buy dollars. Crypto is the only easy way to do that as of now, because there's literally no other ways you can switch them into dollars outside of crypto in an easy way.
So this question is really interesting because I think that we are like looking at a trend in design and UX in Web3, which I call design forks. So like we have a lot of protocols which are forks of Balancer, Aave, whatever like, but there are also a lot of design forks. So a lot of protocols look the same. They just change the colors and they add some logos and a new logo and that's it. And also a lot of famous protocols have done in this way. So I think that we have to actually fight this battle as UX designer to not do the same thing all over again. Please no, because I think that this space is a space of pure innovation, more than Web 2. We have like incredible things that we can do, and please let's do something that is still interesting. I mean, I copied Tinder, okay, but I mean I put it into the options world, like something completely different. So like creativity sometimes is to bring something from like a world and then put it in another box, completely different, and the magic appears. So I empower, like I push everyone to think outside the box and please do not design forks just because you are like, okay, the user has this habit and I have to, let's say, give him a hug and say, okay, you are welcome because you know all the rules there already. So I'm kind of pissed off about that because the users are clever. So they are lazy, but they are clever and smart if they want to do some money. So that's the most important thing we have to take into account as a designer.
Multiple things actually. UX is super macro. There's so much to the onboarding, to the general usage, everything, right? And I think no idea ever is original. It's a mix and match of so many things, but it's based on how you leverage it, right? I don't know if it's Vertex or so, but there were some perp dexes who had like the bears on the charts pointing anytime like the price hit like an all-time low or so. Cool. That's super cool. You need to have something that's like keeping you engaged. It's super fun. It's called like catching you off guard. And that's, I think, how Web3 differentiates itself from Web 2. And that's our stronghold, I guess. And it also depends on who you're building it for. If you're building it for the retail user, the power users, such a different design language, versus if you're building it for like teams and like more institutional usage, you need to really be very mindful of what you're including. But yeah, you need to have some personality to it at the end of the day. I totally agree.
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay. About the Web3. Okay. Okay. I think almost projects is stick to the UX, but I think it's not a big problem because if we build a very convenient function for users, it's function, not user interface. The people will use it. But if we build a amazing interface for users firstly, we can't recognize the true problem of my project. That's why I think as you said, the protocols just changing colors. Yeah, that's why what should we do is the design more innovative protocol and products. I think that's it.
All right, I think we are out of the time. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.